Hi. So it's been like a million years since my last video. Um, and I'm sorry if anybody was wondering where I went. I don't know, I've just been busy, I guess, with what I don't really know or remember. Um, but yeah, it was just hard to get to the computer and to record something. Although I have been reading quite a lot and been enjoying what I've been reading recently. I just couldn't really settle down to like make a video about it. I actually tried to upload a new video of me. Like I recorded a 20-minute video of like my apartment window. And I thought it would be kind of nice to make a video where I like overlaid like some records I was playing when I was filming that video, and like overlaying it with me like reading some of my own work. But I gave up because when I tried to like upload the videos from my phone to Google Drive so I can put it into the video editing software, it just like was taking way too long. And then when it did upload, like the resolution was so bad, I was just like, this looks terrible, so I just gave up on it. But yeah, I don't know what's up about that. Why that's happening? Why the resolution is terrible when I try to upload videos from my phone. If anybody is good with technology stuff like that and can let me know, please do. Because that's annoying. But yeah, I tried to do that, so I didn't do it. I ended up not doing it because I just got frustrated. I was in China for like the last 10 days. I just got back a few days ago and I am extremely jet lagged. Like, wow, everything about my body is like topsy turvy, like all wrong. Like, yeah, I have been sleeping so poorly at night and like crashing in the afternoon and like taking long naps, which just like fucks up my jet lag more. So I think I just need to like stick it out and just like stick to my normal routine no matter how tired I am. But it's quite hard because my body just does not want to be awake at certain times. And also like my stomach is all weird because I guess my digestion has been confused too by the time change. So that's annoying. And I just went back to work today and wow. It's rough going back to work after like a period of not working. Wow. Yeah. That's I was like fully in denial for the past few days that I was like having to go back to work my 9 to 5 soon. But yeah, I was in China. China was really fun. We went to Beijing to visit family, my grandparents mostly, and also some like cousins and relatives that live over there. And it was really sweet to see my grandparents, who I haven't seen in person since 2018. So it's been 7 years, which is so long, and I miss them a lot. It was a little bit difficult for me though because my grandpa has dementia. So my grandpa has dementia, and my grandma also has cancer. I mean, she's stable, thank God, but they're just like both aging. Yeah, so it was a little bit rough to like really witness that in person. Like, like I talk to them on the phone and stuff, at least once a month, but it's just kind of hard to realize that people are gonna die at some point. Like, loved ones are gonna die at some point, and that's just how things are. And it just made me think a lot about aging and death, and also my parents aging. And yeah, like, just like my mom is an only child, so it's her grandparents that my grandparents on her side that we visited. And I'm just like thinking about her from her experience, how she must feel to, you know, like understand that you might be parentless one day and not so far future. It was pretty intense for me. But it was still really fun. Like, it was great to see them. It was really sweet. I love China. I love going back. The food is amazing. I saw some really amazing kind of like art there. China has some really great contemporary art museums. Their art scene is great. Yeah, and then we went to Shanghai with my parents, and we visited my grandparents on my dad's side grave. They both passed away when I was in college still, probably like 2016. I wasn't as close with them as I am to my grandparents on my mom's side, but yeah, it was really nice and bittersweet to like visit their graves and like do some incense offerings and like put flowers and just kind of recognize like my like family bloodline and just dwell in the feelings of like I am the result of so many people that came before me, and I really wish that I could have known my grandparents better before they passed, but I just wasn't mature enough to take initiative when I was younger or something, or I just wasn't, it just wasn't my priority. So like some regrets there, but it was still really nice and moving to go there. Oh, and then I brought my parents to see Sleep No More in Shanghai. And if you don't know what Sleep No More is, it's kind of like an immersive dance theater experience where there's like a building that's like basically an entire set that's like multiple floors, and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure type performance where there's dancers and performers like acting out these storylines throughout the set, and you just kind of wander around and follow them if you want, and blah 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 blah. And it's quite intense, and there's like some, yeah, it gets quite dark and intense, and it's quite tiring. You have to like walk around for 3 hours straight and go like up and down stairs, and there's some nudity and just generally like edgier than I think most things my parents would be into, but they actually really enjoyed it and they thought it was interesting, which surprised me because I thought they would hate it. But I have a friend who's in the cast in Shanghai called Alex, who's really lovely, so she got us all discounted tickets, which was so sweet of her. And yeah, it was like super fun to like have that experience again with my parents. It was cute. And yeah, I met up with Alex later for a coffee and lunch in Shanghai. And yeah, overall it was a great trip. I'm just very tired. Like, I was doing a lot and eating a lot, and I think my body is just like so exhausted and confused and jet lagged. But yeah, now I'm back in New York. I'm very, very happy to be back. It's very cold here. It's full on winter now, like it's freezing. And the sun sets at like 4:30, so that's great. Actually, like when I landed back in JFK from Beijing, Benjamin Journal just happened to be landing at the same time from his flight from Italy. He was in Italy to like teach a course and whatever. So we actually met up at JFK after our respective flights and Ubered back together to like save money, also because we live pretty close to each other. So that was like really cute and funny to like go straight from 10 days in China to like seeing Ben at the airport was like a trip. But it was cute. But yeah, now I'm back and looking forward to just being cozy and reading and drinking hot drinks and all of the cozy above things I'm ready for. Okay, so what have I been reading / what have I read? Okay, so there's these books. I'm gonna check my Goodreads because I don't remember what I've been reading. Okay. Please hold. So, I read this lovely poetry collection called Look by Solmaz Sharif. If I'm not mistaken, this is her debut poetry collection. Thematically, it kind of covers like the trauma from the aftermath of war, specifically the wars in the Middle East instigated by the US, so in Afghanistan and Iraq. Solmaz is an Iranian American poet that, you know, whose family is from that area, and so I'm sure she has had felt the personal effects of the US military operations in those regions. And this book talks a lot about the devastation of war, the lasting effects of war on the psyche, and also physically. How war is kind of like a repetitive, endless cycle, and yeah, it's just a very cutting and devastating piece of work with glimmers of beauty. Very powerful prose, and the way that she structures the collection is she takes phrases from, what was it? The U.S. Department of Defense Dictionary of Military and Associated Terms. So she kind of takes phrases from, like, vocabulary from that, basically it's like a glossary of U.S. military terms, and she inputs them into the prose and poetry, which kind of interjects her pieces with this brutality, like sterilized violence, that I found to be really interesting and done well. And there's also specific poems that follow specific characters, and their experiences, their personal experiences with war. Let me see if I can find something here or read something. The poem is called Family of Scatterable Minds. Suitcases of dried limes, dried figs, pomegranate paste, parsley laid out in the sun, burnt honey, sugar cubes hardened on a baking sheet. Suitcases of practical underwear, hand-washed, dried on a door handle, stuffed into boxes, from Bazaar El Vaquel, making use of the smallest spaces, in a rococo tea glass. One carries laminated prayers for safe travel. I stand still when she smokes Esfand and fans away an evil eye. When she asks, does this mean he will die? I say yes, without worrying it will break her. Suitcases of fruit knives, of embossed boxes with gold coins inside. The gaudiest earrings brought for me, yellow, loud, as these big women rolling meatballs on the kitchen floor, lifting lit coals with their fingers onto a head of tobacco. Shisha comes from shishe, which means glass. Jigaram, they call me, which means my liver. Suitcases they unpack and repack over Iranian radio. Between calls, passing gossip, the report on the brother's liver, it's failing, and he doesn't want the sisters around because they will pray and cry over him like he's already dead. Sisters unfurl black shawls from suitcases to drape over their heads. I carry trays of dates before the men, offer little square napkins, thank their condolences, and hold the matriarchs while they rock. I answered yes when one asked, does that mean he's going to die? Yeah, beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, I finished this a while ago. So I don't really remember specifically anything about it, really, but I do remember it being really moving, and there were specific poems that were really strong. So this one's called Personal Effects, and it starts with a quote by Susan Sontag. Like guns and cars, cameras are fantasy machines whose use is addictive. I place a photograph of my uncle on a computer desktop, which means I learn to ignore it. He stands by a tank, helmet lilting to his right, bootlaces tightened as if stitching together a wound. Alive, the hand brings up a cigarette we don't see him taste. Last night I smoked one on the steps outside my barn apartment. A promise I broke myself. He promised himself he wouldn't and did. I smell my fingers and I'm smelling his, hands of smoke and gunpowder, hands that promised they wouldn't but did. Okay, this one was a really long one, but maybe I'll just read the end. Each photo is an absence, a thing gone, namely a moment, sometimes cities, a tour boat balanced on a 2-story home miles from shore. He was, we hope, moved, but we will have to guess by what. Shampoo in her wet hair, salty and fried breads, the chase scene in Bullet, sangak fresh from the oven dampening the newspaper on the walk home from the baker's, the arms of someone who smells nice to him in the morning, the mouth of someone laced with bergamot or cardamom, who dances in the kitchen and lets whatever is on the stove burn, who burns for him. And beside him they burn, they boiled, they fell, shortly after a loud sound that makes him piss himself. Being nice to others, loose change, chess. He could beat all the brothers in chess. He was moved like that, across a minefield, moved by a hand we cannot see, a hand that is all of our hands combined. So yeah, it's, wow, very, very brutal, but also very beautiful. Yeah, her poems in this collection talk a lot about like the personal costs of war, so not only the macro effects of war, but also the very personal psychic effects of war, which are just as lasting and deep. So yeah, really enjoyed this poetry collection. Also, do you guys like my new glasses? I bought them in China. Actually, no, my dad bought them for me because they were quite expensive and I could not afford. They're Mew Mew and they're very cute. Thank you, Father. I have to get the lenses replaced for my prescription and also get them adjusted because they're quite tight around my head and they gave me a headache, which is like kind of weird because I have a very small head, so I don't. Yeah, but I think they're really cute. Okay. And then I read, I'm not sure if I talked about this already in my last video. Should probably double check that, but I'm just gonna continue anyway. I read Bento Sketchbook by John Berger. This is my first John Berger or Berger, I don't know. Berger, I think. This is my first Berger that I've ever read, and I absolutely fucking love this so much. It is a collection of sketches and essays, drawn and written by Berger. That has a kind of interesting story behind its conception, so maybe I'll just read the back cover. The 17th century philosopher Baruch Spinoza, aka Bento, spent the most... I feel like I've already read this exact passage in the past video, so I will not read it again. But I don't think I finished reading it. I just talked about me buying this book in the past video. But basically, the book is a kind of contemplation on what this philosopher, Bento's lost sketchbook could have been like. So Berger's friend bought him a new sketchbook, and he was like, "This is Bento's sketchbook," and he kind of started compiling these works from the point of view of writing from Bento's POV, which is really interesting to me. His writing is very simple and kind of like deceptively simple, but then also like there are certain points where you're just like, holy fuck, like this is so deep and specific and profound, and he talks a lot about, you know, personal experience on like the micro personal relationship level, but also a lot of different like cultural and socioeconomic criticism, I guess, on certain topics. Like what? I don't remember. There's a lot about philosophy in here, about identity, about different works of art, and how that relates back to his life and to larger topics. It talks about music. It talks about fate and choice and destiny and violence and war and language, a lot about language. So it's kind of like a amalgamation of just different things and topics that Berger kind of riffs off of, usually instigated by him observing something, some scene, some object or whatever that he starts to sketch, and the sketches are included in the book, and talks a lot about the act of drawing, the act of observing and sketching, and the act of trying to deeply see things, and how drawing relates to writing and relates to life. And so it usually starts with him talking about what he's sketching or why he sketched it, and then whatever this drawing or the process of drawing sparks, he goes on to talk about the topics that he internally relates the drawing to. So it reads very naturally, it's very interesting, very warm. It's a very warm book. It made me feel like I knew something of him that was very personal, and yeah, is he dead? Is John Berger dead? I think he is, but I don't want to make assumption. He is dead. He died in 2017. R.I.P. John Berger. But it made me want to know him, get a coffee with him or something if he was still alive. I want to know his brain more. Yeah, this was lovely and warming and very profound, kind of casually devastating, which is a great experience. Yeah, I loved a lot. Let me see if I can pick out some lines. I definitely underlined some shit in here. It's fine. I can't find it. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. Okay, now here's a book that I actually finished recently, so I might remember things about it that I can talk about. I finished The Morning Star by Karl Knausgard, Norwegian author. I picked this up because Ben really enjoyed it. This is his copy. I also ended up really enjoying it. I'm not going to lie. I was struggling, maybe... James. I was struggling maybe up until 2/3 of the book, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. This is if like when is it gonna hit? But it did hit. It did hit, and I think the reading experience ultimately was worth it for me. But yeah, the first 2/3 were challenging because his writing style is not necessarily the type of prose that I am naturally drawn towards. It's pretty economical and pretty to the point. So I don't think the point of his writing is to write beautiful sentences. The point of his writing is to relay information, which is fine. It's just normally I enjoy like here and there a run-on sentence, you know? So it was hard for me to read something that was so cut and dry for the majority of it. Also, there's a lot of characters, and this book is written in different chapters. Each chapter is from the POV of a different character, and there are some characters that I was just like not fucking vibing with. Like, for example, this one like really fucking annoying journalist character who I was talking to Ben about this, but literally his whole chapter was like, I want to fuck that girl. I want to touch her boobs. I'm gonna get drunk. Let's order more beer. Oh my god, I want to fuck that girl. Oh shit, I fainted. Oh, I woke up. Oh, I actually want to touch. Like, what the? Like, and also, I was like, why am I reading this? This is so annoying to read. And there was this one line that I was like, what the fuck am I reading? I think I sent it to Ben. It was that same character who was taking a taxi. The scene was him taking a taxi to a crime scene because he got like a tip off from a friend about like this brutal murder that happened, and he's literally in the car and he suspects that his cab driver is gay or something, and so the cab driver is trying to like make some conversation with him, and he's not responding because, quote, I don't know if me responding means something in the homo world. I was like, what is this, homo world? Like, that's fucking crazy. I don't like that. But other than that, some of the other characters I really enjoyed reading. I did feel like for a plot-driven book, no threads were tied up by the end, which annoys me. Like, I don't mind confusing, obscure writing, or if a book is like plotless or meandering, whatever, but if your book is like a big part of your book is plot and what is driving me and my curiosity about the book is like seeing what happens to these characters like plot wise, and if you literally just don't tell us anything that happens at the end, then it's annoying to me. So I was annoyed. But I think what he did really well in this is when he inserted like a lot of musings on theology, on religion, on death. Yeah, so those internal passages where he is having like these internal dialogues with himself about the purpose of religion, the effects of knowing you're going to die on life and aging, and being in close contact with death and how that affects you. And it also talks a lot about humanity and what makes us human, and about existence, and very existential shit, like what is the meaning of life type shit. I really enjoyed. The end of the book ends. Also, this book is 666 pages long, which is pretty cunty because it's like the sign of the devil. So the premise of the book, sorry, I should have started off with this. I really just, my brain is not braining right now. Is this new star appears in the sky. It's kind of like a cosmic phenomenon So this new star appears in the sky. It's very bright. People are very confused on like what's happening, and like ever since the appearance of the star, weird things start happening. Like the dead start coming back to life. Animals are behaving strangely. There is a murder, like a gruesome murder that happens that has to do with like a death metal band, and people start having their relationships start falling apart, and mentally just things start going awry for these characters. And yeah, some very dramatic shit starts going down, kind of instigated by the appearance of this new star. And there's also supernatural elements in this. One very particular strong chapter takes place in like a purgatory type scenario when this character is in a coma, which I found to be really moving and cried a lot. I read this on the plane. I finished it on the plane and was crying a lot during that portion and also towards the end. The end was strong for me. The first half was not so strong. It was a really, really long lead up. I'm aware that there are sequels to this. Ben is reading the second book, but he told me that like it's a completely new cast of characters, so I'm like not too interested because I would prefer to just know what happens to these characters. But apparently he will go back to these characters in the third book, and there is supposedly going to be a total of 7 books. I do not know if I will commit to another 800-page novel of his, of Knausgard's, because I struggled a bit with this one, and I am not particularly enchanted by his writing, but I still really enjoyed and was moved at the end of this. His wife, though, I'm very interested in, Linda Bostrom Knausgard. I read Welcome to America, the beginning of this year, which was a super strong read for me. Such an incredible book, and she has some other books on my TBR that I'm excited to read. So I think I will read your wife, Karl. Sorry. Or not sorry. You don't know me. Why am I talking about this? Okay. So that's that. Okay. And I finished in China this book, another Clarice Lispector, who is a legend. I love you, Clarice. This is a collection of short stories, including The Burn Sinner and The Harmonious Angels, which is the title of the collection and also the last piece in this book. I really enjoyed this. Clarice, I just love everything that she's written, that I've read. I just really fucking vibe with, and all of the concepts that she explores are always so interesting to me and things that I personally like dwell on a lot. Specifically in Agua Viva, she talks a lot about language and how language shapes perception and how the act of writing is a method of codification that actually sometimes gets you further from your own personal experience. And just like so much depth and layers to her writing and the way that she explores those types of concepts, and I just always find her work to be so interesting, so internal, and so her. Like, her writing is so singular, and it's very brainy ass writing, which I really enjoy. And this one was a little bit different. The short stories were not necessarily dealing with very like abstract or deep topics all the time, but I just also think her use of language is always so interesting. I really enjoyed this collection, and normally I don't even read short stories. I just usually read novels, so yeah. This is also Ben's copy. He recommended it after he read it, so There's this one really cute and funny story in this collection from the POV of a chicken that's about to be killed and eaten for dinner. But then this chicken escapes the family that's trying to kill her and cook her, and then I'm sorry, I'm ruining the story, but I just need to talk about it. And then while she's panicked, trying to run away, and she kind of dashes into the kitchen, trying to escape this family, and then she suddenly lays an egg. And then once she lays an egg, the family's like, oh my god, she's a mother, like, we cannot eat a mother. And then she becomes, like, the family pet. And it's just, like, this really weird, wry, like, story from the perception of a chicken, which I found to be so just interesting. And there's also this one story about this old lady, like this matriarch of a family who is having her like birthday celebration dinner, and all of her family is kind of like gathered around her, and she just sits there silently and kind of pretends to be senile, and like all of these family members are just like be like, oh my god, happy birthday, like so happy to have everyone gathered here to celebrate you, and like everyone's being super fake, and she is just sitting there, and the whole book is just her judging all of them, and it's just so good. There are some lines in here that I was like, oh my god, like wow. So that one was great. There's also another story. Oh yeah, the one story that me and Ben loved was there's kind of this housewife character who has a very kind of on the surface perfect life. Like she is rich, I'm assuming. She has 2 children, like just on paper, like this very perfect family, and she like plays the part of being a wife and mother so well. And then one day she goes out to get groceries, and she's on the bus holding her bag of groceries, and she sees this blind man. This blind man, I forget what he's doing. I think he's just standing there chewing. This blind man is just standing there chewing gum. And for some reason, seeing this blind man standing there chewing gum just like reminds her, or like it hits her from that image of like all of the cruelties of life. And she's just like, I cannot believe that I have been living my life forgetting that they were blind people. And then she just goes into this whole spiral about like all of the disasters of the world and all of the pain that she's been shielded from. And like she just kind of goes through this kind of like dissociative experience, and she like wanders into this garden and just feels very out of sorts, and like everything is menacing, and she has like a shit ton of paranoia. And then she goes home and she like scares her children, and her husband's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's just like, ugh, it's so dramatic, like just like her having a meltdown by seeing this blind man chewing gum, but it's just like written so beautifully and weirdly, and it's just so good. And I also really loved the last short story in here, which is the title of the essay collection, The Burnt Sinner, and actually no, it's not the last one, it's the second to last, but it kind of, I think, follows a woman that's about to be burned at the stake, and there are all these characters like her husband, these angels, a priest kind of speaking about her life and who she was to each one of them. I'm pretty sure this is all going on internally in her head as she's about to be like killed. I think she's about to be killed for adultery, like cheating or something. But it's like just beautiful and very strong. Yeah, I really enjoyed this so much. Like, beautiful sentences, gorgeous, just sensual and very deeply internal writing. I love Clarice. I will read anything she writes. I think next I'm gonna read that book about the cockroach that she wrote. I forget the name. What is it? Something GH. I want to read that. Yeah. Anyway, it was great. I don't think... Let me look at my Goodreads again. What else have I read? I think I already talked about Fury. That was fucking incredible. I talked about The Wax Child. I'll give you... Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. Yes. Yeah, so those were the things I've read recently. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following this channel. Sorry that it's been a while. Me and Ben are planning a joint video soon, I think, whenever we have time. We have some ideas for what to film about. So that would be cute. And yes, let me know if you've read any of these books, if you have any thoughts, any suggestions or recommendations. Yeah, have a lovely night. Goodbye. Bye-bye.